Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Blizzard Day, no pun intended. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, and Jared Wyllys. Of course, if you've been watching on Twitter or social media, you know that our big guest later in the episode, Ian Happ, is going to be joining us, the Cubs all-star left fielder and Gold Glove Award winner. So we are super pumped about that. He'll be joining us just a few minutes. And the Cubs also,
Luke,
guys, have some news early on, right? It sounds like they may have another catcher. Sahadev Sharma tweeting out that they are closing in on Tucker Barnhart. So it continues to move along, and Cubs may have a catcher.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can act like this is the Tucker Barnhart emergency pod if you want for a little bit.
for a little bit, but I mean, it does show you that the Cubs, again, the catcher market has played out a little bit, but it shows that their focus is on improving this team defensively, right? Like locking down the pitching staff, the pitch framing, center field, shortstop, second base. Right now, one of their big focuses is defensively make this team better than it was last season.
Yeah, no, I think last year you had a bit of a down year, and that's why a lot of people don't exactly at least understand it, at least based off my Twitter mentions and just what I've seen on my Twitter timeline. But he has won 2 Gold Gloves in his career, so he has a history of being a good defensive catcher. And I think at the end of the day, I do think the Cubs, based off what we've seen from the pitching side and just the types of guys they're bringing in this offseason, it seems like they probably see something that they think the rest of us don't see, that they think they can bring out of him, or at least get him back to what he was doing that made him successful. And again, like, it's not like he's going to be the full-time guy. He's going to be splitting time with Yan Gomes. So my first reaction whenever they signed him, or when this rumor or whatever came out, of course, Ken Rosenthal and a few other guys have also tweeted like numbers related to the contract and everything. So let's just assume that it's happening, right? My reaction to it is, okay, this is like you had to get another catcher. Now go get some offense, because this team needs some offense still. So I'm pretty indifferent about the entire thing. I don't hate the move, and I'm not like thrilled about it either. So you got to get some bats in there to go with him, and who knows? Maybe he can surprise us like Yan Gomes kind of did. I know if you look at Yan Gomes' offensive stats, they don't stick out at you, but I think we've said multiple times last year that Yan Gomes was like, there were moments where you're like, wow, didn't expect this from Yan Gomes, and like obviously the defense was a big thing that really showed out to us. But even offensively, he had his moments. So if you can get anything close to that out of Tucker Barnhart to go with an older Yan Gomes splitting time, like, I think you feel good about that position. But again, got to get some offense, and then I can really give you a full-on thought about this signing.
Well, it's worth keeping in mind, too, that, PJ Higgins is still a part of this mix. And so the amount of playing time that Barnhart's probably going to get isn't going to be tremendous. And so I think, they're bringing in this guy who some veteran experience, handle a pitching staff well, especially some of these guys that are still kind of young, like Thompson and Steele, help further their development. It's not a deal that I think is worth getting too fired up about either way. Obviously, going from Wilson Contreras to Yan Gomes, Tucker Barnhart, that's not what you want, but it's not a bad move by any stretch.
No, Cody, you said Gold Glove. I mean, you're talking about then being able to go straight up the middle with Gold Gloves, right? You'd have a guy that had one at catcher, a guy in center field, a guy at short, a guy that almost won at second. And, what we talked about a little bit a couple podcasts ago, just because the name doesn't splash superstar or all-star to you on some of the guys that are still going to be added to this roster. Remember, David Ross wasn't a big name back in the day either, but those are the types of pieces that you have to add to every roster going into a season, and they can make you very successful. It just depends on how it plays out. But just because a guy's not a big name doesn't mean he can't have a big role or an impactful role on a team throughout 162 games for sure, because it's a long season. And Yan Gomes is not a young guy. So Jared mentions PJ Higgins. Well, okay, now you don't have to play Yan behind the plate every game. Now you can kind of do it by committee, kind of mix it in a little bit. And I think that's the way they're going. And, of course, Miguel Amaya, we're waiting to see how he'll recover from his injury. But he spent time at AA, and we know that they believe they have some young guys in the farm system that eventually will take that role. Whether that's this season, we don't know. But, Miguel Amaya's injury will have potentially a lot to do with that. Did you see that Kyle Hendricks was mentioned by Jed Hoyer on the score? Jed was on the score talking about Kyle's in Arizona and throwing and feeling good. I guess what else is he going to say? But you look at
when we had Holiday on, he said he wasn't throwing.
Well, he is now. And think of the flip side where you're the Bulls and you've got Lonzo Ball and you're trying to find out if the guy's going to be healthy, right? And they keep saying, no, he's not doing anything. Now he's not even dribbling basketballs. Now he can't do this. You're at least finding out that Kyle's recovered. They've got him working on it, and he's feeling good. It's a great first step. It's a huge question mark going into the season, but it's good news. It's certainly good news to hear that he's there.
Yeah, and it's really encouraging. This far removed from spring training, we're still about 2 full months from the time when he would be even reporting for spring training. So the fact that he's throwing now, and if he is feeling good on December 22nd, I think that's a really good sign, because you want to think about potential X factors for next year. We saw the difference that it made for the Cubs in the second half of the season when their pitching started to improve. A big part of their success in those last 2 months was they were getting the pitching, I think, to some extent that they expected to have or thought they might have earlier in the season, and it just didn't work out for a variety of reasons. But if you get Hendricks back, and you don't want to get your hopes up on the Hendricks of old, because there's just too much that's gone on the last couple of seasons to expect that. But if he is a solid, steady starting pitcher for you, that's a big upgrade too. So one of those things that I feel like we've kind of stopped talking about it because he was out for so much of last year, and we just sort of, almost like backburnered him. And it's worth remembering, like, hey, this could be a huge natural addition next year.
Yeah. No, I think the Hendricks stuff, to me, whenever I heard Hoyer say that on the radio, it was encouraging, because, like I said, when we had Tommy Holiday on the show, he openly said that Hendricks hadn't started throwing yet, and that was about a month ago, I want to say. So, he seems some improvement. But yeah, Jared, you're right. Like, he could be a major X factor. I won't talk myself into thinking that he can get back to 2020 form, or even, those 16 starts that he was good in 2021. But if you can get number 5 starter length out of him, or performance out of him, I think that's really solid. And I mean, that's just how far he's come down, in my opinion, because this last year is the first time he's really hurt, and then he got really inconsistent in 2021. So, given that it will be a walk year for him, maybe he can get back to some of that. But I will say, with him coming back with the defense up the middle, like on the infield and everything, it definitely does help him. So there's podcasts that we did in season in October where I was pretty down on Kyle Hendricks, and I would say I'm optimistically cautious about it. One, because the Cubs have so much starting pitching depth now that, to me, it really doesn't matter. But also, like, he's just a guy I want to root for. He's a guy that I want to see go out there and do well. It's just, just hadn't shown a lot the last couple of years. So to me, it's, you can't bank on a lot. So that's why, to me, like, they still need another arm. And, Drew Smiley looks like that could be that guy whenever that becomes official. But even if they do that, I still think they need another arm. So,
hey, Cody, not to cut you off, we're excited because our guy is here.
Mm-hmm. Is he here?
The man of the moment is here. He is a left fielder for the Chicago Cubs. You know him as Ian Happ. He's also All-Star Gold Glove Award winner. Ian, can you hear us okay?
What's up, fellas?
Dude, thanks for coming on. This
What's
is
going
really
on,
cool.
man?
We're very excited to have you on. First of all, congratulations on the Gold Glove. That was really a neat moment to see you get that and be surprised by it. I was listening to your Compound podcast, and you were talking about how it is an actual glove. And I had no idea that the glove wasn't – I just assumed it was like any old statue, right? Like a trophy, like a regular bronze trophy. You're telling me it's actually a glove you could put on your hand?
Oh, yeah. You can go play baseball with that thing. I don't know if you guys saw the Savannah Bananas, I think.
I've heard of them.
Somebody played with it or pitched with it or –
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's a real glove. And it's cool because the trophy – like the trophy itself, like the base is super heavy. And you have, they have like a little caricature of you and your name and all this stuff and the two balls. And then there's a place where the glove sits, and the glove, you can just pull it right off. And I just actually got it. I just got it to my house. So it was just delivered not too long ago, which was really cool. But yeah, the actual glove is a real Rawlings baseball glove. And it's your exact model. One of the cool things is like it's your exact model if you're a Rawlings guy, which I am. It's your exact model you use for that year, and they completely and perfectly replicate it in gold.
That is awesome. What does that award mean to you? Like, I know every year every player's trying to get better at different things, but to be able to say Gold Glove Award winner and have that for the rest of your career and obviously be a goal moving forward, what did it mean for you the first time around?
It's a really, really special award. It's something that you dream of as a kid. I think it's like one of those awards that not all of your, but like a lot of the idols that you have growing up. Like I was a huge Omar Vizquel fan. So like that was as a shortstop switch hitter growing up as a kid. Like Omar Vizquel had won all these gold gloves. He was the gold standard at shortstop. And so you always dream of that, and you dream of being a well-rounded player and not just hitting, but being really good defensively and what that means. And to be able to go play one position for a full year, the first time in my career being able to do that, and then to follow it up with an accolade or something that is kind of just an appreciation of the work that you put in and kind of get you on that level where you are, that GG is attached to your baseball reference page and you're a gold glover and you get to wear the patch and you can flip the script pretty quick on what the defensive outlook is by having that next to your name. And I think that it's quite the honor to be able to feel like that was always something I was capable of and to put the work in and have that kind of on the other side.
Do you think that just being able to play left field every day like you did last season and even in the second half of 2021 do you think that really played a big part in it? Because like before, they would play you in center. You'd play a little corner outfield. Hell, I remember you playing some second base in the earlier years of your career, right?
Played a lot of second base, yeah. Played a lot of second, played a lot of third when KB went down for some time in 18. I played first when Riz needed a blow, or that when he had that ankle, when he came back and hit that ridiculous homer at the end of the season. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of where we had a spot I would play. And a lot of my first couple years, a lot of starting at second and bouncing to the outfield late in the game, or starting in the outfield. And, there used to be pitchers hitting in the NL. We used to double switch a ton. We used to bounce around a lot. And so the flexibility that it gave Joe to be able to start a game in left, come in and play second, lefty on the mound. I'm starting in left field. Schwarber's on the bench. Righty comes in, I move to second, Schwarber goes into left. All of those things that were moving parts, to be able to do that and to play a lot of different positions it's versatility and it's helpful to the team, but it's not always the best way to be a great defender. And you're trying to hold your own at all those positions and work on all of them, but it's hard to get the nuance, it's hard to get the consistency, and it's really a challenge when you're playing 5 positions and you're compared to guys that are playing there every single day. And I said that for a long time, even in center field. Like I'd played center field a little bit coming up just a hair at the end of my AAA career, and then had done it in the big leagues a little bit. But you're being compared to guys who've played center field for their entire lives. I was a shortstop my entire life, and then I came up and tried to learn how to play second in the minor league level to be able to do it in the big leagues. And so, not even playing second base every day, but you're being compared to an Altuve who's done it for the last 15 years. Like, being able to go and play left field for 18 months and run out there every single day, understand the nuances of what that means to play left field in the big leagues, how balls come off the bat from left-handed hitters, how balls come off the bat from right-handed hitters, how the wall at Wrigley plays, how that corner plays, how having a 355 down the line impacts things, how close that foul line is to the wall, the wind, the sun, the lights, like how all of those things come together to be able to really establish, like, okay, I'm going to go do this for, 100 and I played 158 games out there, but 90 or 200 over the course of the last 18 months, and to really get a feel for that and feel like you are understanding every nuance of that position and how you can best do it. I think that's a really powerful switch. And like, how does my athleticism play best in this one spot, as opposed to like, let me train and be athletic to be able to do all the different things.
Ian, one of the things that we saw this week was that Dansby Swanson was officially announced, and we saw, looks like you got to chat with him a little bit the other day. I'm just thinking defensively about the impacts what impact do you see him having, and also keeping in mind the fact that the shift is going away next year. I mean, how huge is that for you guys defensively?
I think it's massive. I think it's going to be different. It's going to be so different because now you have to rely on both sides of the infield to be super, super solid. That second baseman is going to be asked to cover a lot more ground than he was previously. I remember a game in the Joe era. We were in New York, and I don't know if you guys remember, Javi was playing third and Tommy La Stella was playing second, but they would switch every left-handed, right-handed batter, and the box score was like 50 pages long because every other hitter they were switching back and forth. You can't do that anymore. You can't, and you can't ask your shortstop to go play deep right or play where the ball is most likely to be hit. So to have really solid defense up the middle, I think, is going to be pretty impactful for teams that can do it. And we're pretty lucky to have two guys up the middle that are, elite shortstop defenders to be able to go play that. I think you're going to give them a chance to be really consistent together. You're going to give Nico a chance to really learn second base, as opposed to his first year and a half where he was asked to go play it, but he had always been a shortstop his entire life. So he's going to really dive into that position. His range, his ability to turn the double play, like all of those things are going to be super impactful at second, and Dansby gives him a chance to do that. And I think you haven't even seen the full potential of the shortstop position since the shift became prevalent, because you were asking the second baseman to go cover some of that hole on pull righties. You were letting the shortstop go play on the other side of the bag on lefties. I think you're going to see that full ability and athleticism for shortstop. So even the guys that were good defensive shortstops because they made all the plays but had a little bit less range, those guys are now going to be forced to show off the range to go get it. And the guys that do have that plus range become even more valuable.
Watching the press conference with Dansby yesterday, I thought he was, first of all, super impressive. The story about his grandfather was touching. I think many people could relate to it, even going back to 2016 when Cubs fans were going to cemeteries to put flags and televisions, like at grave sites. But I think one of the most impressive things about him is the way he talks about winning, and whatever it takes. And I know you're one of those guys, and I know that Nico is also one of those guys, because I saw a quote from Nico saying when they told him that they may get a shortstop, he said, "Make it happen." They told me be moving to second base. What has impressed you most about Nico Horner over the last year or so, and just the way you've seen him develop as a player?
A A lot of things. Nico's obviously a great friend. We spend a lot of time together. We've become very, very close, kind of from 2020. And the thing that's most impressive about Nico is how badly he wants to win and how committed he is to winning at any cost. I think that's like, it's easy to get selfish in this game, and it's easy to get selfish with money on the line and a lot of things. There's a lot of pride that goes into being a baseball player at this level, and a lot of real like human stuff where you want to be the best, and you need that to get to this level. Like you need some of that to really be the best and to pull that out of yourself. And Nico has an incredible ability to be insanely competitive, but also see the bigger picture and understand what it takes to win. He's super, super dedicated to his craft, puts in a insane amount of work, has a deep understanding of the game of baseball, of the swing, as a student of the game, loves to talk it, loves to learn it. He's not afraid to ask questions, and that's a pretty impactful thing, especially at a young age, and not always what you see, or not always the standard. And I think that his his desire to really be the best and to look at it from a number of different lenses and to be able to filter out what he needs and what he doesn't need, like that's super, super impressive. He cares a lot about winning. And like you said, he sent me a text at one point early in the offseason, something to that effect of like, let's go get all of the good players because I really, really want to win. And that's who he is. That's who he is. And he's a special individual. And I think he has a chance to win, be a perennial Gold Glover at second base. He has a chance to be a perennial Silver Slugger at second base. And kind of with where that position, it's going to be interesting to see how that position changes, what second base morphs into, because there was a time when second base was a bopper and defense was less important. Now you've seen, like, in the last 5 years, the Silver Sluggers at second base. You have like the Altuves, but you're not seeing guys at second base hitting 35 or 40 home runs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that in the game right now we have a ton of offense at the second base position. And so I think he really has a chance to go and do a lot of that and be somebody who kind of one of the top second basemen in baseball.
You mentioned Horner and how you guys became close in 2020. I remember when he was on the compound with you guys when you guys first started it. Speaking of the compound, how excited are you to be able to do a live recording at Cubs convention next month?
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. We're still trying to figure out details and logistics. It's gonna be a little bit of work for me. And doing a live show for the first time. Obviously, Zach and Dakota, the kind of zooming in and doing all that is going to be a challenge. So it's probably just going to be me, and we're going to bring guys on stage, and we're going to talk to some of the new players, get to know them. We're still trying to figure out the format and exactly who comes on, but it's exciting. I think like the fan support has been so cool. It's been so awesome to have people bought in and listening, and people get upset when the episodes don't come out on time. And we just had a little snafu with Apple, so people didn't get their episode for a couple weeks. And it's cool to see that people care so much about it and they followed along. And it's a great way for me, Zach and Dakota, to catch up once a week. And it's amazing. I mean, we're going to take next week off with the holiday, of course, but we had 50 episodes out this year, and we took Thanksgiving off and Christmas off, and we put out an episode every week besides that. So the consistency and being able to do it has been really fun.
That's cool. Yeah. Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about, you've been talking about some of these younger players, but going into next season, you've kind of become one of the longest tenured guys on the roster. You've been there, other than I think Kyle is the only other guy with as many years on the team as you have. So kind of a two-parter. One, how have you seen your role with the team evolve as far as being a leader? And two, have the Cubs talked to you about, what things look like after this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It sneaks up on you. And I think the role kind of evolves as you as you are there longer, as you have more experiences in the game, and those things transition, and to be able to have a real understanding of the Cubs organization, to know the staff and the people behind the people that nobody knows about that have helped build this thing. It's been really fun to be kind of ingrained in whether it's outfield positioning or the way we're gonna kind of attack the hitting side, or some of those like bigger picture thoughts. Like that's been really exciting for me to be a part of, and I love the organization, I love the city and the fan base, and it's kind of crazy to think back, and we were talking about this on the podcast last week, I think, but all of the names and all of the people that I've got a chance to play with, the Lackeys and the Lesters and Arrieta and Riz and Bryant and Rizzo, and like all those great players that have come through the organization, Hayward and John Jay, and like it's nuts that it's been 6 years and I've played with all those guys and I'm still here and a part of it. And been able to wear the uniform for so long. It's an honor, and I think that is kind of, I don't know, being able to be somebody who's played with all of those guys and has a real feel for like when this team is good and when we're winning and when the city is super bought into Cubs baseball, like how special it can be, and to try to impart that into the young guys as they come up, and like what it means to be a Chicago Cub, what the standard is. Some of the stuff when I came up, when Joe was there and when Hyder was our first base coach, and like how important base running was, and that we wanted to dominate the league and going first to third, and like all of those things that are controllable, like being able to impart that as guys come up. And like it's not just about being a bopper, it's not just about hitting home runs when the wind's blowing out. Like there's a lot of different ways you have to win at Wrigley Field, and like what are the kind of core competencies or things that we really believe in as an organization, and to be able to impart that from a player side, I think is super important. Like I'm really excited that Dansby's going to be able to be there to talk winning and talk championships and what it takes to be a part of it. And I'm really excited for our discussions on that. I know, we're going to be able to talk quite a bit heading into camp, and then once we get there, and kind of, that's the job of the veteran older players, is to really lead by what we expect to what winning looks like, or to what we kind of want to subscribe to as a group, and then we'll be able to help implement that, which I think is a really fun part of getting to this point in your career.
Yeah, with like Jay Hay leaving, I mean, obviously he was a voice that people would also listen to in the clubhouse, right? And you mentioned Dansby. Do the best teams have multiple guys that will have that voice instead of it just coming from one person or two? Like, do you think it's good for a team to have multiple people covering from different places, but still having the same message to team or to prospects that are coming up? The guys that are coming from the minors.
Yeah, it's what you need. It's what you need, because you can't just have one guy screaming at the clouds. You need a group effort, and you need guys that are all bought into the same thing. I think Barnhart coming in, obviously Jan, like those two guys have a ton of experience. They've been around different teams and different ways of winning. Like I think that's important too. When you get to bring guys in that have been part of like multiple groups and they've seen different things, then they know what they like. They know what things work and what doesn't. And so I relied on Jan a lot last year. Talked to him a ton about baseball, picked his brain a ton about the championship teams he's been on, the great teams in Cleveland, the great teams in Washington, his time brief, but his time in Oakland on a playoff team. Like you get all of those different perspectives. And I think Tuck's going to be a good example of that. I've loved playing against him and like what he brings. I've heard nothing but great things from the guys that were in Detroit with him, the guys who were in Cincy with him. Obviously, Tyon has been a part of winning in New York, and he has a fresh perspective. Stroman's seen it. You kind of pick from all those guys, and you get a chance to really put together a clear message. And I think it gets a lot easier when you have 3, 4, 5 guys who have seen it from different perspectives. You all get a chance to sit down, talk in spring, decide what you want it to look like, decide how you want things to go, and then when you break for the season and everybody's on the same page, that's when you have a really special group.
So everyone knows you're like the Cubs like player rep, right? We saw Sam Fold get an extension as a GM with the Phillies recently. We talked about on the podcast a couple of days ago, and we were asking ourselves like, what's the next former Cub that could be, the next Cub or former Cub that could be in like a GM role, and your name was brought up. Is that something that you'd be interested in doing after you're done playing?
When you retire at 45.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Tom Brady style.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I like about. There's a lot of things that I like about the business side of baseball and about being around it. I don't know. I think it's something that really interests me. Being a part of a group moving forward. When I'm done playing, whatever that looks like, if it's coming back and doing some advising or being around it, or I don't know, maybe it would be something long term that would be an interest. I think it's fascinating the way that different presidents or GMs put together rosters, and roster construction is a fascinating thing. And being around the Cubs organization for this long and seeing kind of the internal workings and how analytics are valued, where they're valued, what's the value based on that, and then personnel, like that's all really interesting stuff. I think I like playing the game right now, but there's definitely some fun stuff post career. I also like doing this. I like podcasting. I like being a part of that side of it too. I think there'll be options after, hopefully.
I mean, did you just watching the offseason, what were you sitting back looking at that thinking and watching? The Mets just spent $800 million on an offseason with another $100+ million in luxury taxes. Did this offseason surprise even the players or you, just the way it all unfolded? I mean, it was, I don't know if I've ever seen one like this.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. I think the first thing that I'd like to point out is these numbers. They get like the Mets just spent $1.6 billion. Okay, they spent $1.6 billion over the course of like 14 years. Yeah. If we put it all together, it's like, here's a crazy number. We can manipulate the biggest number we can possibly find. They're running a high payroll, and they're going to run the highest payroll we've ever seen. That's for sure. But a lot of these teams are spreading costs out over 10 or 14 years. So some of those numbers are legitimately inflated. But I think we have one of the best free agent classes we've seen in a long time. We had 4 all-star Gold Glove, like superstar shortstops. We had some unbelievable pitching. And then the guys that aren't getting as much publicity or talk, like there's legitimate, really, really good everyday big league talent that isn't even being talked about because the top end of the market was so strong. Top end of the market's getting paid. That's how it always is. And just because we had so many of those guys in the same market, it looks massive, and it's been a good offseason. I will say it's interesting to see how things are structured. 2 years ago, we're getting short-term high AAV structures. Now we're getting super long-term, bringing AAVs down. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing that's happened this year. I think you also see like coming out of a CBA, now 5 years of cost certainty. We have had lower spending since 2017 and especially 2020 and 2021. Budgets were definitely pulled back because we didn't know how we would come out of that 2020 season. And so now you're seeing there's some money out there. There's cost certainty and what the CBA will look like. And everything has been the perfect storm to have this offseason. But we still have to see how the rest of the market plays out, and then what it looks like in 23 and 24. But it's certainly been a very good offseason for 4 shortstops.
Yes, it has. We have a couple quick
and you have
questions.
Aaron Judge. We're not even talking about the fact that Aaron Judge is the best player to ever play baseball. He had 62 pumps this year. Of course he was going to get paid. Like, you add that onto what is like 4 unbelievable all-star shortstops. It's like, yeah, man, like we have this class is ridiculous.
A couple quick questions. I know you have to run, and we appreciate all your time. This has been amazing. Mike Dubs in the YouTube chat wants to know, Ian, will you ever go pants up during the season for a look?
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a pants up guy. I'm just not a pants up guy. I mean, you know what I did this year? I don't love the look of the home uni, the blue pinstripes up. And I don't like my legs from the knee down, so I'm not really a pants up guy. But I did go on the Wrigleyville uni, which was a new one for me. I did go tight pants.
Oh,
And so from the knee down, I went pretty tight. And I liked that look on those pajama uniforms more than pants up.
I love
So
that
if
uniform.
I do change, it's tight pants.
Okay, so he'd go skinny jeans, skinny uni, if you want
Yep,
to call it.
that's exactly right.
We're also asking on the YouTube, how are you going to Blizzard? Do you Blizzard with A, binge eating, B, binge TV, C, booze or hot beverages, Connect Roasters, shout out, or 4, Dairy Queen Blizzard?
Yeah, I'm here in Chicago, so I am seeing the cold and the snow, and it's bad. I binge by doing podcasts with you guys, but I go beverages. I go beverages. I'm drinking coffee right now. I'm sure there'll be an adult beverage or two later. That's my go-to.
What's the Connect roast you've got right now?
This is just Guatemala. We went Guatemala today. This is a cool mug. And then
That is a cool mug. I like that
It's
one.
very nice.
I like it.
Got another comment in the chat, and the chat's cracking me up right now. But my friend Greg Braggs, he wants me to ask if right field indeed sucks.
I won't say that. I will not say that.
The Bleacher Jeff can say that.
I hang out in left field a lot, so.
I am way in on the left field bleachers. My guy Bleacher Jeff and the rest of the crew over there, those are my people. But I will not go as far as to say that right field sucks.
So you're never joining in on the chat, like on the chant? No.
No.
Not
unless there's a brawl going on. I do love I love that the bleachers police themselves and no fighting in the bleachers, no wave. I love turning around and seeing the wave start and just the anger on Bleacher Jeff's face. I just love to see it. And the fact that they police themselves, the fact that it's an environment where you come to have fun, you come to enjoy a summer day at Wrigley and have a few drinks and cheer on the boys and not distract from the game, but really enjoy what it is. I think it's the purest thing in baseball, and I absolutely love it. I have to jump, but thank you for having me. This was great, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Ian. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Ian.
We'd love to have you come in studio if you're in town in 2023. We love this. We appreciate it, and thanks for your time.
Sounds good, fellas. Have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Too, Ian.
Ian Happ, can't thank him enough. You can follow him on Twitter at IHapp_1. You can also follow him at Connect Roasters, or you can check out the website. He's a big fan of connectroasters.com. And also, Jared had a great article at allchgo.com with Ian recently talking about the connection with Connect Roasters, how he got involved with a small coffee company that wasn't really going anywhere, and all of a sudden it's developed into this huge company that everybody in Chicago knows, and is probably a pretty popular holiday gift item as we get closer and closer to holidays. But that was, I mean, he just spent 30 minutes with us, guys. That was that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time for anybody as you get ready for the holidays are a couple days away and a blizzard is at our doorstep. You know,
I would like to point out, whoever started Cody Del Softo in the chat, we did ask him about an extension. Jared asked, and he just kind of circled around it, which is what we basically
expected. He's a professional. That's why you might
fair.
get DM someday.
That's his, his prerogative to do that. But the question's got to be asked because it's, I think it speaks to, we saw it in the comments, how beloved he is by the fan base and how much the Cubs fans want to see him stick around. And I think he knows that's where the question comes from. But that's, who knows? There's a lot of reasons why sometimes guys just like to keep that to themselves. So, that's his prerogative. But It was cool to see the Connect mug.
Yeah.
Because they've really like in a short amount of time, they've kind of become the coffee of the Cubs and maybe eventually Chicago. So we'll see. And I wanted to get in a question about, we've got some certified coffee guys coming in, joining the team now, because Jamison Tyon, I know, is a big coffee guy. I know Tucker Barnhart is. I think Tucker was actually a Connect supporter in the early days. So maybe next time we'll get into that. But yeah, some coffee guys coming around.
Yeah, and I wonder what kind of coffee guys actually drink at the ballpark, right? Like, are you going decaf? Are you going decaf before the game? Are you taking the caffeine to get you going? I would think no.
I've for what it's worth, I've seen in the locker room a lot of them, especially day games when they're getting there at 9:30 or so in the morning. It's still morning coffee time, and they'll have their mugs at their locker. I know Jan Gomes is one in particular I've seen drinking his coffee quite a bit. So, and their Connect is the coffee of the Wrigley Clubhouse.
And by the way, guys, you know what goes great with Connect Roasters coffee would be Green Ridge Farm, a local meat and cheese company, offering you a better all-natural option. Makers of all-natural deli meat sausages and their famous meat sticks, perfect for tailgating, happy hours, school lunches. All-natural meat sticks that are hardwood smoked for 8 hours, 16 grams of protein per stick. They make a perfect post-workout snack. Meat sticks come in chicken, black forest beef, jalapeno cheddar, spicy chili. Delicious because they are made from recipes generations in the making, and being all natural, they deliver a fresh, flavorful alternative at snack time. They are at the refrigerated section of Costco, Sam's Club, all your Chicagoland grocery stores. And right now, when you order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com, include a pack of meat sticks free by using the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat. And nothing more important as we head into this blizzard in the Chicago area, and a lot of the U.S. is getting it. We're pretty thankful we have power, right? For those of us that still have power and have electricity and heat, that's the key. And the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve save money and energy as well. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. The authorized engineer will work with you to help develop detailed assessment plans specific to your goals, your needs, and they can be done in person or virtually and last about 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, then customers get a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. Don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips and to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz. That's comed.com/poweringbiz. Or if you're ready to sign up for a facility assessment, call them at 1-855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. Email businessee@comed.com or request an assessment online on our website, comed.com/facility assessment. Again, this is a happy blizzard day, pun intended, as we had Ian Happ, our guest, who was super generous with his time. And I think what's really cool is our first player to come on this podcast was not only the longest tenured position player on the team, like Jared mentioned, he's also an all-star and a Gold Glove winner, and just a guy who really seems to not only connect with his teammates, but I saw him wishing happy birthday to Bleacher Jeff on Twitter the other day. And he was talking about on his most recent podcast about Danny, the clubhouse guy. Okay. And then he went to Danny's wedding recently. Guys, I remember Danny when he was a teenager. So to think of the guys that have gone through that clubhouse, I think it's really cool that he recognizes that there's something special and different, whether it's in the clubhouse or on the field or in the bleachers or the fans that are Connect Roasters, that he's able to while he's going through a hectic, super busy career that's got to have all kinds of pressure, that he's able to appreciate all of those things, right? How hard isn't that in life to just appreciate something while you're going through something that's not easy?
Yeah, and to know a specific fan by name, to be able to look up in the stands and I know who that guy is.
And when his birthday is, Jared, he knows when the guy's
right.
birthday is.
That's pretty rare. That's a pretty special thing. So, there's clearly the relationship between him and the fan base is beyond, I think, even a lot of the other players. So,
I'm hoping he liked us enough that he'll come back. That's my takeaway. I just hope he liked us enough that he comes back. That's why we didn't press him about the extension. It's why we didn't, ask a bunch of other dumb questions. He seems like a genuine dude.
Oh yeah, I listened.
We had a list of dumb questions, but we got the good and important ones out there too. So, and I think I learned a little bit as well. I really loved his response related to being a GM one day. So
yeah, I think he'd be a great one, but I could also see him working just like Theo for Major League Baseball. You run across guys in sports, whether you're a fan or you're in the media or you're in the clubhouse, and you say that guy would be good at this, right? Like, I think everybody could see that David Ross or Joe Girardi or a lot of catchers, you can see the link to where you say that guy would make a good manager. I also think Ian Happ would be a good manager, all right? Yeah. Mark DeRosa is another guy that I think would make a really good manager that's come through Cubs baseball. And then you think front office guys like we talked about recently, Cody, and I say, okay, Ian Happ would be great at it. Kyle Hendricks, if he really wanted to do it, is quiet, but I think he'd be great because he's very smart and he knows the game. And he'd be coming at it from a different perspective than most, because most players that go on to become front office or managers, very rarely are they pitchers. For whatever reason, pitcher like the Greg Maddoxes of the world don't want to get back into it and spend any more time. But I think Kyle would offer something, whether it's as a pitching coach or front office or a manager. I think he'd be great at it. And I've said before, I don't know how somebody has – I can't believe that nobody's convinced Doug Glanville to be a GM yet. I know he's thought about it, but I can't believe he's not a GM yet.
When I think – kind of going back to in Ian's case, there's something to be said for a guy who has had experience playing multiple positions, because your depth of understanding of the game grows so much because of the way that he's moved around in his career. I know that, he seems to like being now a fixture in left field. I think we would all say that's a good thing. Keep it that way. But the experience that he's had, listening to him talk today in some ways reminds me of, when Ben Zobrist was still on the team, and you'd ask him a question about something related to defense, and there was like a depth of understanding that Zobrist had. And I remember I would ask him, I'd ask him 3 questions, and it'd be a 20-minute interview because he had so much to say. There's a little bit of that, with Ian today that we saw, where, he's a very thoughtful kind of guy, intelligent kind of guy, and you could see that translating post-career in a lot of different ways. But like he said too, I think he has interest in, he likes the podcasting stuff. I know from talking with him about his work with Connect, he likes kind of being a businessman and marketing. I know he loves that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting. Not that we want to rush to this point in his life, but it'll be interesting to see what Ian Happ does post playing career.
Speaking of like front office stuff, Sharma tweeted during that interview that the Cubs are returning Greg Brown as special assistant to the president and GM/hitting. I guess he's going to work closely with minor leaguers. And John Maley is returning to be the hitting coach at AAA Iowa. Brown was the Cubs hitting coach last season, obviously, and Maley from 2015 to 2017. So it's not the regular hitting position, or hitting coach job. So I feel like those jobs are very secure jobs. You know what I mean? You know the joke we like to make
Yeah, right. It's like they
about how it's like 1 year.
like restructuring the whole thing, right?
Yeah. It's cool that they're bringing back some, some guys who've been here. And I think a lot of people were kind of surprised that Greg Brown wasn't going to be the hitting coach next year.
And mainly, I don't think either guy deserved to be blamed for what was going on necessarily. And this is kind of, I think, the front office acknowledging that. Like they just wanted to make some changes, but it's not like they think those guys didn't know what they were doing. You're just looking for a different voice to try and connect sometimes.
Yeah, so we'll see how it works out. It's exciting.
Cody, you got any holiday bets? I assumed when I put out the the Blizzard poll, the fifth option, if I was going to put one on there, was going to be lots of bets on DraftKings, and I knew that Cody would be pounding that. Over and over, he'd be voting for that.
Multiple votes for that one.
Yeah, I got some bets. I think I'm gonna take the Jets tonight. I don't like it. Tonight's game kind of sucks. I kind of want to take the Jaguars after they had that big comeback win against the Cowboys, but I'm afraid of the letdown. But I don't know. I'm leaning Jets tonight. You can make that bet on DraftKings. You can bet on the NBA as well. If you bet on the Bulls last night, you probably made a decent amount of money considering how bad they've been of late. This time of the year, everyone's excited about the gifts, the holiday spirit, but what about all the basketball? When I throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same game parlays. You can do that with the NBA. I know you get a stepped up same game parlay for college basketball like every day. They always give out one for every NFL slate. They're giving you as many boosts as honestly as possible, it feels like. And they're probably doing that in Maryland, which Maryland sports fans, Maryland Cubs fans, if you're in the chat, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. Download the app now and get in on the holiday hoops action, especially with this blizzard going on outside. You're not going to leave your house. You might as well sit on your couch and gamble from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. like I am today on college basketball or even the NBA on Christmas Day, especially from 11 to like 10 p.m. It's like the NBA's biggest day of the year. Just sign up with the code CHGO, place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details in the podcast description or the YouTube description, which all of you live right now, thank you for being here. We got a lot of comments today, so
yeah, and pound the like button, please. Thank you very much. Shady Rays, they never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this winter because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles cater to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part, though, about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear, lost and broken replacements. If you lose those shades, break those shades on day one, they told us they'll just send you a brand new pair, no questions asked, drop them in a lake, off a cliff, run the snowblower over them, anything, they will replace them. And even with that strong of a protection program going, they still managed to make quality that I can tell you, holding in my hand, seems just as good as any expensive pair I've ever worn. Shady Rays customers seem to agree with over 200,000 five-star reviews. Shady Rays also, get a load of this, provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America. With every order placed, they've donated now more than 20 million meals to date. They stand behind their product and told our team that if anybody has a problem, they throw profit out the window and they do what is right. Free returns and free exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. That's it. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays running their deepest deal of the season just in time for the holidays. Last-minute shoppers use the code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. Buy one, get one free, or you can get two. So you can get 2 pairs for as low as $54 right now. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades. I mean, the chat is lighting. Did I see we had a super chat there earlier?
I believe we do.
We do. Let's highlight that one.
Merry Christmas, guys. Stay warm. No blizzard here in Knoxville. Just cold. Thanks for great content. Dustin Allen, $4.99. Dustin, thanks.
Shout out to you, Dustin.
Happy
Dustin,
holidays to you and your family.
Dustin, how do you feel about a few guests down there in Knoxville? I'm looking to escape Chicago right now. Got to get out of this blizzard. Tennessee,
just like Ryan bailed on us. Ryan bailed on us for this
Ryan.
podcast.
Man,
big Ian Happ podcast. Ryan's off heading for warmer weather.
Tennessee's a beautiful state. That's one state that
sure
if I before I got this job, that me and my girlfriend talked about, like if we were to leave, we would want to go there. So yeah, great spot.
So we got, what do we have time wise? We got like 5 minutes. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about adding to the roster? You want to talk about holiday songs like we did on the CHGO podcast, which I won, by the way, with my list of best holiday songs.
Well,
I won.
I felt like, I noticed the list, and I feel like I need to point out the absence of Cool Yule by Louis Armstrong, and I feel like any list that doesn't have that on it needs to be revised. And if you guys don't know that song or haven't heard it, after we get done here, fire up the Spotify or whatever you use, there you go, spin a record.
Johnny Mathis all day, all night.
Yeah, we know you still have records.
I like it, but yeah, get some Louis Armstrong going. It'll change your life.
But my list had some great ones. Okay, first of all, nobody else thought to take Jingle Bells. The Blackhawks guys did it and didn't even mention Jingle Bells. Who doesn't know Jingle Bells?
It's not about knowing. It's about the best, your favorite holiday.
It's the best because it's one of the ones you learn as a kid. Then I threw in the Hanukkah song from Adam Sandler. I threw in the theme song to Christmas Vacation. Silent Night. Who doesn't get emotional around Silent Night in the holiday season?
Yeah.
NSYNC has a really good holiday song.
I think that actually made the list for the Blackhawks guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
The NSYNC one did?
Yeah.
It's
a good one.
And then I did Frosty the Snowman, or did I change it? No, I did White Christmas because I was pressured in White Christmas.
I'm curious what you guys think. What's your least favorite?
Least
favorite? Oh, the one by Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah. Just cancel it. Cancel it. I can't take it. One time, and then cancel it for the rest of the year. Every year. I can take one time, but
do we get in trouble if I find the bad version and it happens to play on my phone in the background?
I don't know.
No, we probably shouldn't risk it.
No.
We shouldn't risk it. I'm just going to tell you to Google Mariah Carey Christmas song disaster. And it's like the music goes out in her earpiece and she sings it like she has no hearing whatsoever. And she is all over the place. It's like somebody shot a duck and it's falling out of the sky trying to sing a song.
And I get that, Luke, but why would we want to listen to that on a podcast?
Because it is funny. It is. And to watch her try and continue going, she's like checking her ear. And you realize she's really not as good as she thinks she is.
I noticed at the Macy's Thanksgiving parade when she came out and sang, it was very clearly.
I think that's what it was. I think it was the Macy's parade.
But I know this year's it was
again.
It was fully a recording though. She was not singing a word of that live.
Yeah, that's why.
You could tell.
Yeah,
you could
tell. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick, the How Do You Blizzard poll we've been doing.
Yeah, how's that going?
150 votes.
What answer would you guys give? How do you blizzard?
I'm a high / adult beverage guy.
Yeah, probably adult beverages for me as well.
I feel like my brand is just by selecting the Dairy Queen option. That's my brand.
I'm with Cody. It's binge eating, and if that includes a little ice cream, that's okay. Because first of all, when you say blizzard now, America does not think of a snowstorm. They think of cookie dough mixed in with vanilla ice cream and swirled together. That's what a blizzard has become. And as the only former certified meteorologist on this panel today from my 1 year in Upper Michigan, I do want to point out to the people that are going to start getting mad at guys like my friend Paul Diano and Paul Conrad at WGN. I want you to understand something. When we get this storm and there's only like 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground, and you're going to get to a holiday party and all the old people are going, weather guys had blizzard. A blizzard, folks, is sustained winds of 35 miles an hour or gusts for over 3 hours and visibility of a quarter mile or less for more than 4 hours.
Okay,
So
there you go.
that's your window. You're talking about a long period of time where you have high winds, usually followed by the cold weather. But it's not about the amount of snow. It's just that there is snow around. You can have a blizzard without actual falling snow, just blowing snow.
I feel like I should be writing this down.
I didn't
I
know
did not know
that.
that.
But
Tom Skilling, take that.
how about Steve's biggest fan here? A $20 super chat for us. Thank you very much.
Whoa.
Thank
Steve's
you.
biggest
That might be
fan.
the biggest one we've ever gotten, honestly.
Kelly and Ian back-to-back days. Theo on opening day. Stucky Claus, this is our Christmas wish.
Oh, I thought
Stucky, that's
Claus
all
was
you.
gonna be included in the the great guests that we've had.
I'll say that the next guest that I would love to get on the show, as much as I'd love to get Theo Epstein on the show.
I thought you were going to say Dansby.
Dansby obviously would love to get on this show, but I think the chat would really love to see Nico Horner on the show.
Here's what I was thinking. Like if Nico were to come on, I'd like to get Ian on again. I'd love to see if we can get Ian coming in before Cubs convention if he's in town.
Well,
I'd like to play ping pong. I'd like to have a ping pong tournament with Ian Happ.
You guys missed a very good opportunity. He said he had questions about how he's going to run his live podcast. You should have said, "Hey, if you need help,
Right.
come into the CHGO office and see how we do it."
You should have jumped in. You're the technical guy. You're the one with the headphones on, looking like you're Eminem over there.
The guy right above me also has headphones on. Let's get to the poll. At this point,
okay.
Binge Watch TV and CHGO Sports is winning at 50%. Then 21% booze or hot beverages, 20% for binge eating, and 9% the Dairy Queen option. So
only 9%. That is a bit surprising. I started the new Jack Ryan season with Jim Krasinski or Jack. What's his name?
John.
Jim from The Office.
Jim from The Office.
Right.
Episode 1 was very good.
And Bunk.
So
don't
I might be
forget Bunk
binging
from
that.
The Wire. You gotta
watch that show.
No, but don't forget the Bunk from The Wire is his buddy in that show.
I restarted How I Met Your Mother last night.
That seems like that's gonna go poorly. That's too long.
Well, I don't like the very end of How I Met Your Mother, but it's one of the greatest shows of my life.
I think the first few seasons you're in good shape, but after that, you can just let it go.
Chris Gerard, $10.
I can say the same thing about The Office too. So
Happy holidays. Stay warm. Look forward to all the podcasts in 2023. Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Gerard. That's very nice. And by the way, we're going to be here. First, you'll have Brendan and Corey will have another pod coming up for you tomorrow. Then Cody and Ryan are back on the 26th. So, we're not done for the year just yet. We're podding right up until the finish. We don't get to be number 3 baseball podcast in America this week at one point.
And take days off. Yeah. We can't take days off.
We don't holiday around here, okay?
We're coming for you, John Boy. We're coming.
We're coming for you, John Boy.
But before we get out of here, there is one thing I have to mention.
Yes.
I don't know if you, Stucky, I'm sure you might have seen the tweet. I tweeted this video, but it was like a TikTok of this guy who's talking about why Carlos Correa is going to be injury prone for his entire career.
I started to play it and I thought this is going to be ridiculous. Yeah, go ahead.
I
bought into some random person on Twitter just throwing out his breakdown.
I bought into something I saw on TikTok, okay? All I'm saying is I was 50-50. I was like, this could be right, this could not be right. Let's cause some chaos. And I was curious of what everyone else thought. And then some people that I don't like that are on Twitter decided to ratio me a little bit. And now I feel like a moron, so thank you to those people for making me feel that way. But I guess the one thing I wish I would have done is just say that I really don't know if this is factual or not. But here you go. But I don't know anything about how players get hurt and shit like that. I'm not a math or science guy. What are you talking about?
I think for what it's worth, unless you get ratioed at least once in your Twitter career, maybe you're not doing it right. I feel like we all have to step in it at least one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
for Cody, it's one time a week, I believe.
I mean, I'm not getting like destroyed, like 10 likes, 200 quote tweets, but there's been a few people that are like, I can't believe you fell for this. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm just a guy on Twitter, man. I'm just a guy who talks in front of a microphone, and that's it. I know nothing about this shit. So,
by the way, final thought on the next guest is that while you mentioned Nico Horner, I do have concerns about how Brendan Miller would handle that. Brendan is so pro Nico that I don't know how it would go. I don't know how awkward it would get. I don't know how uncomfortable it would get. I don't know.
He tweeted today, extend Nico Horner.
There's a chance it could get uncomfortable.
No, but I feel like there's a missed opportunity here, though, for get Brendan and like Hendricks and just let them like nerd out on pitching for an hour.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the rest of us would just sit and listen.
4 hours. Yeah.
4 hours. So a special episode, and we'll all just sit and listen and just let those two guys, go back and forth. It'd be great.
I'm trying to think of who, Brendan is pro Nico, and then Corey's pro John Lester. Like that's their thing. Like I don't know what me and Luke's thing is. Like there's no one player that I think that we are would get to that level. You know what I mean? Like I just like them all equally.
Any current Cub is exciting to have, right? Like current and former Cubs are fun to have. They're just fun people to talk to.
Right.
And I think,
however, if Tony Campana comes on this podcast, that might be the one. That might be the one for me.
You won't even be able to see him. He'll go so fast across the screen, it'll be like, there goes Tony Campana.
I didn't even know he was there.
Who was that? Was that the Flash? No, it was Tony Campana stealing home.
Campana.
Oh man.
All right. Thanks to everybody that joined for the Ian Happ podcast here, the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Thank you to Ian Happ, again on Twitter, @IHapp_1. Connect Roasters, all of those things he does. We appreciate him and his time, and we appreciate you in the chat. Until then, which will be the next time, fly the W.